Gentlemen, I want you to stop for a moment and imagine this. What if I told you that the sleepless nights, the endless trips to the bathroom, the weak stream, the discomfort you thought were an unavoidable part of aging could actually be reversed? And not with another pill, not with another risky procedure, but with something as simple as a daily habit you've likely overlooked your entire life. This is the shocking truth. Your prostate problems are not a life sentence. They can be fixed. My name is Dr. Mohit Kara. I am a professor of urology and a men's health specialist, and for more than 30 years, I've dedicated my career to helping men over 60 take back control of their prostate health, their confidence, and their quality of life. I've seen thousands of men struggle, and I've seen thousands of men turn it around. Here's the paradox. The very habits most men think are harmless, what they eat, when they drink, how they sit, even how they handle stress, are often the hidden reasons the prostate keeps enlarging. And the surprising part, these same habits, when adjusted in the right way, can shrink the prostate naturally. That's why today I'm going to share with you 5 powerful habits that no one tells you about. These aren't theories. They're simple, proven changes that can restore urine flow, reduce urgency, and give you back nights of uninterrupted sleep. And stay with me, because the last habit I'll reveal is so simple, so obvious, you'll wonder why no doctor has ever told you before. It may just be the missing key you've been searching for. Before we get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, take a moment to do so and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss another important health message designed especially for men over 60. And if this video speaks to you, let me know by typing 1 in the comments. If you feel it could be better, type 0 so I know how to improve and serve you better. Now that you understand the truth no one tells you, let's get practical. The first habit may sound simple, but it can transform your nights. It's not about what you drink, but when you drink it. And this one change can ease your prostate almost immediately. Habit 1. Master the power of hydration timing. Habit 1. Master the power of hydration timing. Gentlemen, let me share something I've seen countless times in my clinic. A man sits across from me, shoulders heavy, eyes tired, and he says, "Doctor, I can't sleep anymore. I'm up 5, sometimes 6 times every night." I look at him and I know that behind his words lies not just exhaustion but frustration, even embarrassment. And so, often when we carefully retrace his daily habits, the answer becomes clear. He's drinking plenty of water, which is good for his body, but he's doing it at the wrong time of day. That one detail, something so small, can mean the difference between restful sleep and another miserable night of endless bathroom trips. The truth is, water is medicine. Your body needs it for circulation, digestion, and energy. But as we age, the prostate enlarges, pressing against the bladder. When you load your system with fluids in the evening, the bladder fills quickly, and that pressure makes it nearly impossible to sleep through the night. It's not your imagination. It's biology working against you. But here's the hopeful part. You can take back control with a simple adjustment. Front-load your hydration. Drink the majority of your water before the mid-after afternoon. Let your body have those hours of the day to process it. So, by the time you lay your head on the pillow, your bladder is not begging for release. I remember one patient, a retired school teacher, who looked at me almost in disbelief when I suggested this. "Doctor, you mean it's that simple? Just drink more in the morning, less in the evening?" He tried it, and the next time I saw him, his face lit up. "I slept 6 hours straight," he told me, his voice filled with a joy that only someone who's been robbed of rest can understand. That moment always reminds me Sometimes the greatest relief comes not from complicated medicine, but from the simplest shift in daily rhythm. It's not just about sleep, though. When you reduce nighttime urination, your body heals more effectively. Your heart rests, your brain clears toxins, and your prostate itself gets a break from constant strain. Night after night, the benefits compound. And there's something profoundly emotional about waking up in the morning after a real unbroken sleep. You don't feel like a prisoner to your body anymore. You feel free again, strong again, like a man in charge of his own health. So, I encourage you to try this tonight. Cut back on the evening fluids, especially water, tea or beer after dinner, and instead drink deeply in the morning and afternoon. Give your body the water it craves, but give your nights the rest they deserve. It may feel like such a small change, but it can restore peace to your nights and energy to your days in a way that no pill ever could. And as powerful as hydration timing is, it's only the beginning. Because what if I told you that the way you move your body each day, the simple act of standing, walking, even breathing, can unlock blood flow that directly reduces prostate swelling? That's the second habit, and it's one most men never hear about, yet it can change everything. Habit 2. Daily movement to unlock pelvic blood flow. Habit 2. Daily movement to unlock pelvic blood flow. When I talk to men over 60 about their daily routines, one of the most common answers I hear is, "Doctor, I don't move much these days. I spend most of my time in my chair, watching television, reading the paper, or just resting." And I understand it. After years of hard work, decades of long shifts, raising families, carrying the burdens of life, it's natural to want to slow down. But what most men don't realize is that long hours of sitting don't just weaken the legs or stiffen the back. They slowly strangle the blood flow to the pelvic region. And when that happens, the prostate pays the price. The prostate is a living organ that depends on steady circulation. When blood flow slows, inflammation builds, swelling increases, and symptoms worsen. Gentlemen, this isn't just theory. I've seen men who barely move during the day experience constant urgency, weak flow, and pelvic discomfort. But I've also seen those same men reclaim control when they added something as simple as a daily walk. Not a marathon, not an hour at the gym, but 20 to 30 minutes of consistent movement. Step by step, their circulation improved, oxygen reached the tissues, and their prostate began to settle down. One patient of mine, a retired veteran, once told me he hadn't exercised in years because he believed it was too late. When I encouraged him to start small, just 5 minutes around the block, he agreed reluctantly. A month later, he walked into my office with a smile I'll never forget. "Doctor," he said, "I sleep better. I don't feel that constant pressure anymore. And my wife says I have more energy than I've had in years." Those words weren't about exercise alone. They were about freedom, dignity, and hope. And here's the beautiful truth. Even if you have limited mobility, you can still unlock this healing. Seated leg raises, gentle stretching, even pelvic floor exercises done while sitting in a chair. All of these keep blood moving and inflammation under control. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. The body responds quickly to movement no matter your age. So I challenge you to find a way each and every day to move your body and give your prostate the circulation it needs. Because once you begin, you'll notice something remarkable. Not only will your nights grow quieter, your days will feel lighter, clearer, more energized. And yet, movement is only half the story. Because even with healthy circulation, what you put on your plate can either shrink your prostate or silently make it worse. In fact, certain foods you may eat every week are quietly fueling inflammation. That's what we'll uncover next. And once you hear it, You'll never look at your dinner table the same way again. Habit 3. Eat to. Habit 3. Eat to starve prostate inflammation. Starve prostate inflammation. Over the years, I've come to see food not only as fuel, but as one of the most powerful forms of medicine we have. Many of the men I meet in my clinic believe their prostate troubles are simply the result of age, that there's little they can do beyond taking another pill. But when we look closely at their diet, the picture becomes much clearer. The truth is that what you eat every day can either inflame your prostate or begin to heal it. I'll never forget a man in his late 60s who told me he lived on processed meats, fried foods, and sweet desserts. He was constantly exhausted, waking up every hour at night, frustrated with his body. I gently explained to him that these very foods were feeding his prostate inflammation like pouring gasoline on a fire. He looked at me almost in disbelief, but he agreed to make changes. Together we shifted his meals toward tomatoes rich in lycopene, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, pumpkin seeds full of zinc, fatty fish such as salmon, and a simple cup of green tea each day. Within weeks, he returned with a look of relief I'll never forget. His nights were calmer, his flow stronger, and his energy brighter. Food has that kind of power. Every bite you take sends a message to your body. Some foods say swell and inflame. Others say heal and shrink. It's not about perfection or strict diets. It's about stacking the odds in your favor meal by meal. And there's a deeper emotional truth here as well. When a man begins to nourish his body instead of unknowingly harming it, he feels a sense of control. Again, he no longer sees himself as a victim of age, but as an active participant in his own healing. That shift in mindset is just as powerful as the nutrients themselves. So the next time you sit down at the table, remember this. Your plate can be a weapon against prostate problems or the very cause of them. Choose wisely, and your body will reward you. But eating alone is not enough because even if you choose the right foods, your bladder can still sabotage your progress if it's not properly trained. And here's the surprising part. Most men don't realize they've been letting their bladder control them instead of the other way around. That's the next secret, and it may be the one that finally frees you from the constant urge to go. Habit 4. Train your bladder. Habit 4. Train your bladder. Don't let it train you. Don't let it train you. One of the most overlooked truths about prostate problems is that the bladder often becomes just as much of the enemy as the prostate itself. I can't tell you how many times I've had a man sit in front of me exhausted and frustrated, saying, "Doctor, the moment I feel the urge, I have to run. I can't trust my body anymore." What he doesn't realize is that over years of rushing to the bathroom, his bladder has been conditioned, almost like a nervous child, into signaling urgency long before it's truly necessary. This cycle builds over time until every small twinge feels like an alarm, and the man's entire day becomes chained to the thought of finding the nearest restroom. But it doesn't have to be this way. Just as the bladder can be trained into urgency, it can also be retrained into strength and control. I often tell my patients, when the urge strikes, resist it for just a few minutes. Stretch the interval gradually, teaching your bladder to hold a little more, to wait a little longer. In the beginning, it can feel difficult, even impossible. But slowly the bladder relearns what full really means, and that nervous signaling begins to calm. Combine this with simple pelvic floor exercises, and suddenly the urgency eases, the frequency diminishes, and the man feels in charge again. I recall one patient who was a grandfather of 6. He confessed that during every outing with his family, he planned his seat based on where the bathroom was located. He avoided road trips, movies, and even church services because he feared embarrassment. When he Practiced bladder training for a few months. The change was profound. Doctor, he said, his eyes filled with relief. I don't scan for restrooms anymore. I can sit through my grandson's baseball game from start to finish. That sense of freedom of not being ruled by the bladder's false alarms is priceless. This habit isn't just about convenience. It restores dignity, confidence, and the ability to live without constant interruption. Imagine enjoying dinner, travel, or family gatherings without that relentless pressure controlling your every move. But even with stronger bladder control, there's still one invisible force that quietly fuels prostate problems every single day. Stress. The way your body responds to tension can either inflame your prostate or help it heal. And what I'm about to share with you next is perhaps the most underestimated yet most powerful habit of all. Habit 5. Habit 5. Relaxation that melts prostate pressure. Relaxation that melts prostate pressure. I've treated men for decades, and if there's one hidden factor I've seen again and again, it's stress. Most men don't think of stress as having anything to do with the prostate, but it's one of the most powerful drivers of inflammation. I've had patients who lived their entire lives under pressure, men who carried the weight of providing for their families, serving in the military, or simply battling the challenges of aging. They would tell me, "Doctor, I don't feel stressed. I just push through." But inside their bodies, the truth told a different story. Stress, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, were tightening their pelvic muscles, fueling inflammation and making urination more difficult. I remember a man in his 70s who had tried everything: diet changes, medication, even minor procedures. But his symptoms never truly improved. When I asked him about his daily routine, he admitted he never slowed down, never allowed himself even a few minutes of quiet. I taught him a simple breathing technique: inhale slowly, hold, and exhale longer than the inhale. Practiced it each morning before breakfast and again before bed. Weeks later, he returned and told me with surprise in his voice, "Doctor, I can finally sit through the night without that constant pressure." His prostate hadn't magically changed overnight. It was his stress levels that had shifted, and with them the tension and swelling that had ruled his life. Relaxation doesn't have to mean complicated meditation or hours of yoga. It can be prayer, soft music, a walk in nature, or even just 5 minutes of intentional breathing. What matters is that your body receives the message. You are safe. You can release. You can heal. Men who embrace this habit often tell me they not only urinate more comfortably, but also feel lighter, calmer, more connected to themselves. It's a reminder that health is not only physical but deeply emotional. And when you combine relaxation with the other habits, hydration, timing, daily movement, healing foods, and bladder training, you begin to see the full picture. You realize that shrinking the prostate isn't about one pill or one surgery. It's about building a life that supports healing every single day. Now, as we move into the conclusion, I want to tie all of this together, because when you understand how these 5 habits work in harmony, you'll see that the truth no one tells men over 60 is actually the most empowering truth of all. You are not powerless. And once you embrace that, everything changes. Conclusion. Bringing it all together. Gentlemen, we have walked through 5 habits that, when practiced with consistency, can truly transform your prostate health. It begins with mastering hydration, timing, shifting the majority of your water earlier in the day so your nights are no longer broken by constant trips to the bathroom. Then we move to daily movement, the simple yet powerful act of walking or stretching that restores blood flow to the pelvic region and helps calm inflammation. We looked at how food can either fuel your suffering or quietly begin to heal you, and how choosing Tomatoes, broccoli, pumpkin seeds, fish, and green tea can feed your prostate the way nature intended. We talked about training your bladder so it no longer controls you, giving you back the confidence to enjoy life without being ruled by urgency. And finally, we uncovered the quiet but destructive role of stress and how daily relaxation, whether through breathing, prayer, or reflection, can melt away tension and bring relief you may not have thought possible. I've seen these habits change lives. I've seen men who had resigned themselves to a lifetime of discomfort discover to their amazement that their bodies could still heal, still respond, still give them nights of rest and days of freedom. And I'll tell you honestly, as a physician who has spent more than 30 years with men just like you, this is the part of my work that moves me the most, because it's not just about shrinking a prostate. It's about giving a man his dignity back. It's about restoring energy, confidence, and hope. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to change everything overnight. What matters is taking the first step. Try one habit today, then add another tomorrow. These choices stack up. They build momentum. And before long you'll notice the difference, not only in your prostate but in how you feel about your life. So remember this, you are not powerless. Your age does not define your future. With these 5 habits you can take back control. You can wake up refreshed, live with confidence, and enjoy the years ahead with strength and peace. That is the truth no one tells you. But it is the truth I want you to carry with you from this moment on.